Right. Good morning. Who have we got here? Oh, hi, Tim. Good to see you. Just fixing the hair. It's got to look good with headphones, doesn't it? Oh, look at that. Not gonna work, is it? Right, there we go. Oh, hi, Tim. Hi, Zed. And hi, Gramps. Zed's dead. Very good, Gramps. How are we all doing this very cold morning? I don't know what it's like where you are, but here in the UK, it's quite cold. It's particularly cold because, till it warms up, I'm in the basement, which is where my studio is, which is great because I'm away from everything. Hello, Graham. Good morning. Cold, isn't it? Graham's from the UK. He'll be cold. I think part of it is I need to invest in some slippers. I need to get myself some slippers. That's what I need to do. But ones that will allow me to work my pedal board without stepping on multiple buttons. That would be good, wouldn't it? I'll look into it today. Ice King, hello. Hi, Ice King, how you doing? Good to see you on here. And Enzo. Hello, Enzo. Oh, got lots of people turning up today. Matching palm slippers. What a great idea. Gramps, did you get yourself a Pamela Anderson sweatshirt? I'm gonna have to get it. I'm gonna get another one from Vonk actually. It's just I've had problems on deciding who to get next. Up late, happy to catch the stream. Great. 26 Fahrenheit. Very good. I think that's warm, isn't it? Ish. I mean, here I think it'll be just over 0. I think it'll be about 2 or 3 degrees. In dark blue, brilliant. Yeah, the great Flonk. I know the artist, Jock Mooney. He's actually a sculptor. Turn his hand to kind of doing those crazy images. He's also a musician as well. Hi Des, how's it going? Well, here we are. Right, now let me have a look at my list, see where I'm up to. Right, yeah, so today, I'm still doing Dreamer Realist It's Creator today. So I'm going to do a little bit about creating, or being a creator, or more to the point, being a creator within the 3-role theory. So for those of you who aren't sure what I was talking about when I was talking about 3-role theory, 3-role theory is about how we play different roles, basically, in the creative process. So we are a dreamer, we can be a creator, and we are a connector, those 3 things. And where this comes from is Walt Disney, believe it or not, and the archetypes he would used to play. So when Mr. Walt would go into work and have meetings, nobody would know which archetype he was potentially going to be. So in creative meetings, he might turn up and he'd be a dreamer. He'd pretend he's a dreamer. And, well, he wouldn't, he probably was. We're all dreamers, right? So he wouldn't have to pretend, but I'm going to do my dreaming bit today, is what he would say. And he would just turn up and I would imagine he'd have his meeting there. And he'd go, right, everybody, I just want ideas, lots of ideas, many ideas, no limitations, just let's get some ideas going, all right, and see what creative, amazing things we can do. Hi, Sean. And basically, they would all come up with ideas. And the next time, he'd turn up and he'd go, right, so we've got all these ideas. I like these ones. Now I want us to have a meeting on how this is all going to get put together. And that would be the realist, as he would call it. I mean, the Walt Disney archetypes was dreamer, realist, and critic. Slightly changed for the music making process, and I'll come to that in a bit. So he would say, right, well, how are you gonna do it? How are we gonna make this happen? And people would go off and they'd come up with like lots of ways they could start their projects, what they were going to do, how they were going to complete them, and that would be the realist, that would be the creator. So making the conscious thinking into the conscious is what that's about, really. And it's something that fascinates me, because obviously we consciously think and we know what's going on, but there is the subconscious, and the subconscious is where limitless ideas are kept. All the good stuff is there, but it takes a little bit of work to get there. Okay, to get to the subconscious. So triggering the dreamer in certain ways can allow us to break through the conscious thinking process. One way I find really, really useful. I mean, I know we have the splurge, but there's the book Accidental Genius, which I keep mentioning. And that's about free writing. So that's a guy who, that book's wrote by a guy who was a big CEO. And when he was thinking through situations, he would just write about the situation, and he wouldn't edit any of his thoughts. So free writing is a tool that I'll use for people in coaching now and then. And actually splurging, the seed making or the splurging in music is a very similar thing. It's a way of just cracking through into the subconscious layer, the thinking, the layer of thinking that we're not aware of all the time. So basically, when you're doing free writing, it's none of it's edited. You just let it all come out. So I might start off as like, don't know why I'm doing this free writing, not feeling inspired. Just stuff that's off the topic will come out, and then eventually things will start appearing. I might start writing about things that I'm consciously thinking about, and then suddenly it'll just dip, and then there'll be all of this sort of stuff that happens for a bit. That's very interesting, or things that I wouldn't normally think about. And so love the philosophy of music, the approach, it's all very good. Actually, and so you said something very good the other day. I was just going through the track yesterday, and I know there's a couple of things mentioned in AI, and hope you don't mind me mentioning, there was, you put in the chat, that you were disillusioned with sort of, I think it was like the social media guitarists and like the things people are putting up. I thought that was quite an interesting thing. So I might come to a bit of that in a shortly. But I thought I would just mention something about that. Because it's something we all kind of like face in a way. So I'll have to try and remember exactly what it was. I don't know if you can remember exactly what it was you said yesterday about social media. You did use the word disillusioned though, with social media. Yeah. I know the gist of it, because it's a thing. All right. Right, where was I? Oh, yes. So breaking through the subconscious layer of thinking, and then you got your free write. And your free write's dreaming, isn't it? It's dreaming, and then eventually all this stuff is there. and then you can do something about it. So, what I'm saying is the dreamer and creator and connector is in everything that we do. So when I'm doing a free writing, when I like to do free writing is when I'm doing when I'm not on a stream, I'll do 5 minutes of free writing on wins, problems, and opportunities. So I'll sit and I'll just write as fast as I can, unedited, and never stop. The pen never ever leaves the paper. It's just I'm writing as much as I can, as fast as I can, and I'm not worrying about grammar or anything like that. I'm not worrying about the quality of my handwriting. As long as I can read it, that's okay. Not bothered about mistakes. As we know, mistakes are an intention, a hidden intention. In fact, the free writing is exactly the same as splurging. In a lot of ways, though, the free write, nobody's going to see it, right? So you're not really. There's no quality judgment. So it's quite revealing from that point of view. So I'll do my wins, and I'll free write my problems, and then from the problems, I'll just quickly brainstorm as much as I can opportunities of how I can overcome those problems, and some of the things will just be utterly ridiculous, like stand on my head for 5 seconds or whatever. But the point being, it's following the dreamer, realist, and critic. So I'm free writing. I'm dreaming, aren't I? And I'm also creating. So when I'm getting to the opportunities, I'm creating solutions, and when I've got those solutions, then I do them, and then it becomes something that exists out of my body that I can then run with, test, and then guess what? I can review, and I can do the wins, problems, opportunities, and when I'm reviewing, I can free. So this dreamer, creator, connector is in everything that we do. When I thought of this channel and what I was going to do on it and how I was going to put it together, all of that kind of stuff, there was a dreaming phase, and then there was the connector phase. It was like, right, well, I'm going to put a camera there. That looks okay. All right, it's dark now. Need some lights. Right, put a light there, put a light there. Right, what's that look like? No, not quite right. So there's all that kind of thing. And then it was like, let's just run the stream live, see what happens, stand in front of people, find it really difficult talking. What can I do about that? So all the time you're doing something, right? And you're collecting data, and then you're reviewing that data. And this is all part of that dreamer, creator, connector. And a lot of the new coaching group, the professional coaching group, very much everything will pivot off these three things. That you'll find that you can use in whatever you're doing or going to do. So yeah, I mean, and as you can see, as I'm talking about free writing, how very similar splurging is, and how that when we're splurging with music, for some reason, like it's very difficult to shake off that we're picking a guitar up and we think that music's like us and it's a representation of who we are. And it's just a diary entry. And it's really interesting because I was social media, right? Rick Rubin turned up, and I am reading his book that he's got at the minute, and that's right, like it's just right. He was talking about, don't get attached to your music. It's just a diary entry of what was happening at the time, right? And I think, God, like I never, like I've been saying that for the last few years, a diary entry. But there he is. He's saying almost exactly the same things. I'm not saying he's copying off me, by the way, because he's amazing. But like there's so many things in that book, like the process that I've been coached through and learned. It's incredible, and done stuff myself on. So it's really interesting, that his book. So that's an overview. But I think, like, when we're getting into, for me, when we start getting into the creator mode, it's sort of, it can be like an interesting area because it spills into almost design, and it's connected to the skill focus in a way. So skills that we've learned when we're creating, we're now going to apply to a situation that's created by the dreamer. Okay. And I suppose this is why you would learn skills in a way. Having said that, right, okay, what we do need to accept is that sometimes we don't have the skills to fix every problem and we're in a situation. So what do? In music, this is completely and utterly fine, okay? The creator can just guess, all right? And actually, if we all think about it, right? In music, when are we ever 100% certain of what we're doing? You pick a guitar up, do you know exactly what you're doing? Do you think me and Thomas know exactly what we're doing when we're doing a live? When people are dragging up random, tracks for us to play on in E flat minor, do we know what we're doing? We don't. We just guess. We'll guess, and that is all there is to it. Because obviously, I've learned a little bit of theory and things like that, and when I'm playing, it gives me there is some guidance, but it's loose, isn't it? How I approach that, I don't really know. So one of the things about being a creator, if you just don't know, just guess. And why would we guess? Well, if you don't guess, then chances are you're not going to do anything. And if you don't do anything, there is nothing. And nothing, zero, is the worst situation to be in. Because you've got no data. There is nothing to work off. So we don't know what to practice. We don't know what the next move will be. None of that. So when we're creating, guessing, firstly, is brilliant. So just sit there and just start doing something. And the great thing about that is it's like free writing. If we guess, something will happen out of the subconscious. We put ourselves under that lovely kind of musical pressure, and unexpected things usually happen. And this is a great thing. This is like how music has its own life. If something has its own life, you don't really have control of it. And it's almost like we are a conductor for these musical ideas that come and find us. And I think for me, and it might be because, as I'm getting older, like music is becoming, like I'm experiencing it much more spiritually. It's becoming something that I used to think I had control over, and to get more control, I had to learn more. But it's not. It's almost if it's there. So Ice King loves musical pressure. Yeah, musical pressure is great, isn't it? We all need it. We need to embrace the pressure. And it's good that you've said that, because I need to make a note of this. Needs to go on here. Right. Yeah, so music becomes, it's more and more of a spiritual thing, and stuff that I've enjoyed reading lately has been, like Graham Gardner's usually good at finding these books, but obviously there's one book which I've read about 3 or 4 times, like this is like just entertaining, and that is The Music Lesson by Victor Wooten. Really good, and it also gives you a good insight into like what coaching is in a way. But then he's got another book which is a little bit more crazier than that. You have to stick with it. I nearly, but anyway, it's called The Spirit of Music, and it's called The Spirit of Music because the spirit of music, it's bigger than us. There's a spiritual side to it. One thing I really like the idea of is like ideas. If we don't have ideas, if we don't sit down and do our creative work, those ideas that unexpectedly come to us, right? Find somebody else. It's like we're a connector. So these ideas and things that are happening with music or whatever it is we're doing are floating there. And when we have an idea and think, well, it might be a business idea, like, I don't know, maybe it's like this, and developing like some sort of coaching program, and I have the idea to do that. Wouldn't it be great to connect this to all the music that I'm doing, all the things, and wouldn't that be wonderful? That idea would float off and find somebody else. So Ice King, I love musical pressure. The so I've got to get used to pushing this button, right? The high I feel when I rise to the occasion or even getting close is huge. This is a great time for music, but with all the resources at our fingertips, simply is our greatest friend, in my opinion. That is absolutely right. It is a great time. However, it's all vibrations, connections with source energy. Very good. It is. It's all of those things. And it's great that we've got resources at our fingertips. However, I think the most important thing to develop musically, for me anyway, certainly, is what I refer to as the inner game, as in the inner game of music. So the one thing that gets overlooked is our thoughts, like our feelings and emotions towards when we're doing something. And, you know, if we're practicing and we start feeling bad, you know, or we're improvising, we're doing some music and a note goes wrong and we get that thought and then it triggers the feeling. It's like a vicious cycle, isn't it? Because then we'll have the physical feeling, which then we can think it's like a negative response and we can get like caught in that. So I think, like, you know, for me, sort of being into that inner game has really, really helped. So for me, it's like the inner game. I like to get myself right and then do that balance between inner game and outer game. The outer game, right, it's a very interesting game to be in this day and age. So, you know, obviously the outer game is a lot of it's AI. I will be doing, you know, a little bit going into this a little bit further, but you know, what do we want? You know, what do we think is going to be left as AI is fastly, you know, it's developing. I mean, it's not going to replace us, you know, musically anyway. There's people are always going to want to see somebody picking a guitar up, right, and doing something cool. It's like one of those things where might go backwards, like you know, a few hundred years to pre-recorded music where the value of, well, we're already there. It doesn't matter. So when music was digitized, okay, you know, one of the ways to monetize now, that's the leading way to monetize, is to do performances, isn't it? That's the easiest way to do it, your performance. It used to be you could make money off your recordings, but now that's not a thing. Music's worthless, and music is the calling card for you to set up other business adventures, gigging, coaching, teaching, you know, and it also raises your profile, and technically you can charge more when you're an artist of anything. A bit like DJs, you know, if they make music, they don't make any money off the music. If you're in Beatport top 100, you're still going to get very little money, if anything at all. But it gets you booked by promoters, and then you're on the big money. You're not like a local DJ. You're not, you know, doing Nicki Minaj down the road. You know, you're playing like other cool artists and your stuff on the same platform, and you're doing festivals, and the promoters are booking you because you've got music. You're an artist DJ. The level lifts up because there's only you doing your thing. You're unique. Enzo has trouble with the outer game. This is interesting, Enzo. Can you just give me more information with the outer game? So I'd love to know if you can share what the potential troubles are. So yes, the other interesting thing about, you know, being a connector for me is well, I mean, one thing is that we find that for me as a coach and doing diagnostics of where somebody is at in their creative process and where they're most strongest. It's a good way. It's a good tool for that. So as I said yesterday, like sometimes people are just dreamers and they're just woo. I never start anything, and when I do, it's like 2 bars long, and there's like millions of these 2-bar bits of amazing music. And I just don't know what I'm doing. It's like all crazy. That's like the dream. I'm a bit like that. Which they just splurge. and then they don't move forward. They don't know how to do it, or it bores them, or it frightens them, or whatever. And what have you. Some people are very like skill focused and like the problem solving, so they become like a creator, but it has like a very sort of where the problem lies is they don't finish anything, and then it becomes, the music is more like a design project. Okay. And the problem with the design thing, all right, is that when we're designing, it's not art, is it? We've already got a fixed idea of exactly what the thing has to be. So it has to be this, and then I'm going to go off and do that. So their creativity's in a straight line. And very rarely, I don't think that's ever happened to me, where I've gone, there's an idea, or I've thought of something in my head or a sound or whatever, and I've just gone bang, and my skills have like lined up exactly with that. No, art is about there is design, but you got to be flexible. That you're not going to go forward to that horizon and hit it in a straight line. You're going to go over this way. Whoop, that didn't quite work. Hit a dead end, and then you'll go somewhere else. Oh, hit a dead end, and you'll kind of at this random path, and then eventually you'll get to whatever it was that you originally imagined it would be, but it'll be something completely different. It'll be a surprise. But all the time when we're hitting these dead ends, it's all data that we're collecting, and if it's going well, it's carrying us in a different approach that we would ever thought we would go into. And this is how our styles and our voices can magically appear. But it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from our subconscious, isn't it? These ideas. So I have to be careful when we're creating that we don't become design heavy and fixed on an idea. What I like to do is, hence, when I'm in the machine and in that creative process, we have splurging, unedited ideas, and then we have a discovery phase. It's actually, that lens of discovery is in everything that we do. Okay. So when we are discovering, okay, we are seeing our craft or our design through the lens of discovery. That would be the correct way of doing it. So we do have to have an element of design, but it's through discovery. And I hope that makes sense. So I have a thing. All right, let's see if I've got it here. Oh, it's here, isn't it? It's on my stickies. So I'll come to that in a minute. I'm probably just going to have to talk today. I'll do my splurge some other time because I'm now interested in this little game thing. So Enzo, right? Let's have a look. I have trouble with the outer game. I may be wrong. But it goes back to what you were referring to with my comments from the previous day. It's a lot, but in a short blip, but I will do my best. So, Enzo, firstly, thank you for sharing this. This is brilliant. It's like singing idea versus being able to convey it into the guitar. Okay. Versus sound design and music production. All right. Simplicity once again. Right, okay. So I'll just start saying stuff, right? Okay. It's like singing idea versus versus playing on the guitar. I think one thing that's really interesting, right? Like in my head when it comes to playing melodies and things like that, and being a relatively melodic player, is just using the framework of the pentatonic scale. So the pentatonic scale is it's basically the harmonic series, bar one note being rounded up. Like in the harmonic series, one of the notes is like a quarter tone. But fundamentally, harmonic series, when we play one note, it's a series of notes. We don't hear one note. It's, it's basically the pentatonic scale pretty much. And I think it's the fourth, and we round it up to, it's like actually a quarter tone. It's not a fourth, but you just round up to a fourth. You have yourself a pentatonic scale, weirdly enough. But it's something that's in our DNA as human beings. We just, for some reason, we're conditioned almost at birth that this always sounds really good, and it's in our language. And it's in nature. So it's immediately acceptable, and it's also extremely predictable in our heads. So using a pentatonic scale as a framework gets you there in terms of singing a melody, and then anything that's outside of that pentatonic scale you can easily sort of find. That's what I find. If you're singing an idea and being able to... So sometimes there can be a mismatch between, like when we sing an idea, we come up with, a melody. When we're playing guitar, sometimes we just like shred. None of it's really, really melodic because it's like muscle memory and there's an ego thing attached and we just want to like blaze. But if we put that to one side and we just look at the disparity between the singing and the guitar playing, to marry it up, it's the key is for me the pentatonic scale. That's how I approach that. So really, you just whatever you're singing in your head when you're playing, you're trying to play, and it's easier to guess what those notes are. So you're still singing in your head, and you're playing the pentatonic, and eventually you can hear where each note leads, and you can guess much more accurately where you're going to go. And almost you can get to 100% predicting it. So yes, the music becomes much more of a language when you do that, because language modulates around those tones. So that's a good place to start. And of course, with a pentatonic scale, then you can start like, once you get that framework in your head, there's the blues note, the flat 5, you can start adding that in. And then my favourite is to add in the second or ninth. Right. So in other words, if we had the second to ninth in, right, what happens there is we've got like a 6-note scale. We've got a hexatonic scale, which is like a new thing to talk about. The hexatonic scale, great for neo soul, great for any music. But what it does is it helps you get away from the minor 6th or the 4th if you're in a major scale, which can sound. It's in tune, but it can sound dull and flat and just give you that kind of sort of like bit of an amateur thing, it's like, oh, that note. However, you can work out phrases where, like for me to get out of that 4th thing, 6 minor 6th, I just think of it in the same lines as a blues note. I just think of it like a passing tone. So I know that it's there. I don't always avoid it, but I think if I'm going anywhere near it, I'm going to pass over the top. A lot of the time I'll do it chromatically. So you don't notice it, and that's just because I'm really interested in adding more colour. I mean, people might have noticed I've started doing that a bit more, putting chromaticism in my playing, and that's just to give it a little bit more of a colour. Yeah. So hold on. So the 11th would be the if I was in the minor key. Sorry, hold on. If I was in the major key, would be one of the notes that I would avoid or pass over. That's what I would do. So if you add the 9th in the pentatonic scale, you've got like a 6th note that's always gonna sound acceptable to everybody else, and give you that modern melodic sound. And it's just a great way of thinking. It's just a little bit of a guideline. It's nothing's concrete, because you can do whatever you want. As long as it sounds good to you, then that's absolutely fine. And we're here and we're making music, not for other people. We're making music for ourselves. Happy mistakes, yeah. So like a happy accent, again, that's a mistake is an intention. So, like, sort of marrying up, which is something that I'm constantly practicing, because I'm writing on guitar, is I'm marrying up the the differences that I've got. I'm trying to bring together of the free writing. So, like, I'm not gonna sit, right? So that's like all of the notes from what I'm meant to be talking about, for the next month, right? When I wrote that, I wasn't bothered about the quality. I wasn't bothered about how the sentences were structured. I wasn't bothered whether the numbers were in an exact vertical line. I wasn't bothered about the spelling. I wasn't bothered about the state of my appalling handwriting. And I wasn't bothered about whether if everything fitted on the line. Okay? All I wanted was the ideas out of my head onto a bit of paper. So I knew what it was, and I just needed to vaguely know what it is. So I've spelt fear, but it actually looks like, instead of fear, it's like fur. It's like there's an F, an E, and my A looks like a U, and the R looks, it's furs. And the R looks like an S. But I know it looks like fear, and that's all I need to know. So I go, all right, well, I'm going to talk about fear that day. When we're splurging, and you know, especially on guitar, you don't want to be worrying, right, about having a perfect performance when you don't know what the tune is yet. Okay, you just want to get the ideas and work with something that's round about the 70% mark, or at least round about the mark where that'll do. It's not like doing my head in listening to that. I don't hate myself. This is about the idea. Okay, and I always go back to the days when I was in a 4-track. On a 4-track, wouldn't even have a bass guitar. I'd have like a crappy drum machine just playing like a 1 or 2 bar loop, and I'd play a guitar and I'd just create energy, and then you get the singing on it, and it would all be a nice surprise, and it would be, you know, I would sit there buzzing, and I'd be like, imagine, oh, this is great. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this, and that's what you want. Wouldn't this be great when I get in the studio? Except we can have all of that now, just in our rooms with our doors. But the problem is it can lead us towards too much perfection. So again, you know, we can lay down perfectly played rhythm parts and then start messing over a lead, which may or may not be right for the song, because we just don't know. We haven't taken it through any particular development. So, you know, especially when recording guitar, like I really think like opting for the free write and getting the structure, finding out what the purpose of that is, what is the emotional journey we're taking the listener on, all of these things need to be fleshed out. And then when we come to the end, we can gut it as if we're taking the band into a studio, gut the idea, and then just re-record it. Yes, we're approaching the music theory area a bit there, Tim. Again, this is like, you know, it's a skill. It's not something I'm hung up about, but it's something I can use to explain to people who have got, you know, who know a bit of theory, and in the creative situation we're in, it's an accurate way to talk, isn't it? It's, you know, because I've done theory, it's how I choose to talk about things sometimes. Theory's only dangerous like when it's a straight jacket, all right. When it's you know, stopping you from doing things. That's when it's You never know that. That's another good. This is going to go on forever. This theory. Why? It's a note. Right. I'll add that to my list. It's not a list now. It's just a scribble. But a hidden intention. Talk about theory. You love theory. No, theory's good. It's, you know, you can learn theory, and you can imagine all the things you can do with it, and it's a place you're safe. Nothing's going to happen. It gives you that feeling of certainty. But it's how we apply all these things to a musical situation, really. And I think, yeah, I mean, I'll come to that. Is like one of the things that I find people do struggle with is I do this. One of the sessions I do is called Codex, and basically it's a system you can use and you practice it. So I'm literally, it's like programmed into my DNA, this thing, right? And it's a way that allows me to listen to my music, okay, observe what's going on, and then start explaining. Then I'll start describing what is actually there, and then at the problem area, and then what I'll do is I'll explain, what the problem is, and then I'll create what I think the possible solutions are for doing that. And I think when we're explaining music and we're describing music, that gets very, very confusing. But it's a great system, that one. And how we explain music doesn't have to be theory all the time. We can use words like bass and lead guitar are clashing in a mid-range frequency. You don't have to say, if you don't know what the notes are, it doesn't really matter. You just need to know on an XY axis that like there is a problem in this area and it's between two things. And then your solution, even if you're a non-musician, is move the notes on one of them up or down. And that would be something you could do. But I'm gonna spiral off into something else then. That's another one. Codex. Explanation. Codex. But it's a good little... The thing about the codex is it kind of trains you to be one of these producers that... because you got this formula in your head, you just always instinctively... You come across as like you instinctively know what to do next. To get out of a situation, you don't necessarily get stuck. Yeah, well, exactly, yes. So what I mean there is, when I went to college and I ended up on a course where it was just basically classical, right? So it was A-level. And that's the bit you do just before you go off and do your degree. Luckily for me, I missed my degree and went straight on to a master's. But anyway, that's another story. And I'll tell you why, because that was like to do with thinking outside the box, really. But anyway, in A-level, so that was very sort of like theory, classical music based, And so there was people on there who knew grade 8 theory, knew the rudiments book inside out, okay? But I could say, will you just play an A-7 chord? Oh, what's that? And they like struggle to like, it's just like a C, it's just like an A and stick another note on the top, something like that. That'll do. All right, no, I need to see that written down. I think why learn a language and then not use a language? Surely you want to learn the language and then use the language. So I'd see this quite often because they weren't thinking about composition. All they were thinking about doing is playing pieces to get through an exam or to get the university, or the most creative part of it would be interpreting the piece in terms of like dynamics and feel. And that would be about as far as it would go, really. And really none of that theory would get involved in that. It's just a language, yeah, and you just use it in whatever way that you need to communicate with, So yeah, this would be a thing, Enzo. Mm-hmm. Using theory and knowledge that you're not going to use, but it's people can get stuck on that because it means you're not creating something. Some people would opt to do, because you'd have two things. You have a history theory part of it, and you could do more of that than the performance. And I did the performance and a bit of theory, but so if you're doing history and and theory, it's just learning and plagiarizing facts, isn't it? So it's an easy, if you're not into uncertainty, you can be certain of something. And this is the problem, right, that creatives have, is they just want to have some sort of guarantee that if they invest their time into making a piece of music or art, that actually it will be all right and it'll be a success at the end and it'll be everything that they wanted it to be, and they don't have to worry about wasting the time. And you're never wasting your time with failures. You're just creating data for yourself. That's all that's happening. But if we use theory and we don't use theory, well, we are wasting time. Unless you write a book about it, another theory book. But it's not exactly art, is it? But when we're creating, people want this certainty. Oh, I need to be certain that if I use this, how do you make synthwave? Right, you have to use this particular bass. And if I don't have this bass, I can't make it. Well, that thinking is only going to make you, at best, do a worse version of whatever synthwave track you were listening to. The only way you're going to supersede it is being true to yourself. Okay, and go, I've got this crazy idea. I like synthwave. I'm going to start doing this. And then that becomes the focus. Have I ever heard of George Ballas? No, I haven't. Neoclassical guitarist, no. The neoclassical guitar playing. The first very quick influence on neoclassical was Yingwi for me. Teenager, if that, barely. Rising Force, and then that's just like, I heard like, all right, yeah, it's like, that's guitar playing, that's all right. And then he did this run, didn't he? And I was like, whoa, how do you do that? That's amazing. I want to learn to do that. Neoclassical, or will AI put us out of a job? No, it's not going to put us out of a job. Because we're going to be unique and we're going to do our own things, and you're going to create loyal fan bases that are going to be into your one thing, because you don't need millions of followers or fans and stuff to make a living, as I've proved. You just need a handful of people that are really into what you're doing and want to learn themselves. That's it. And you can start doing things or whatever it is you want. All you got to do is be unique and be the only provider, and then the trick is getting out there so those people who will connect with you can see it, and it will happen. All right, so a couple of things Enzo was saying. So I hope, like what I said before, Enzo, that kind of helped you with that. So just quickly with AI, but I will go into more. So I find AI fascinating because it can do the jobs that I can't be asked to do. I'm not really interested in do, or it'll do the craftist sort of jobs. Okay, but it's actually getting the right tools that get it right in the way that you want it in your existing workflow. That's the first thing. So the only bit of AI that I really find interesting. Not interesting, find useful in a really sort of practical way is the Sonable EQ, Smart EQ 4 or Smart EQ 3. It does spectral equalization on your stuff. It gets removes harsh frequencies. It also runs like a regular EQ underneath that. So it's removing all the harshness, and then you can do your normal decisions and EQing. You have a really easy way that you can either agree with the AI what it's done, or you can disagree. And there's a fader, and you can move it so you can fade the AI in as much as you want, and you can take it out. Unlike sort of the stuff, the neuron stuff, where it makes a big decision, builds a signal chain in a traditional way, like compressors, distortion, saturation, and then you end up undoing it because it's not what you wanted, and it can't make those decisions creatively. So the Sonable EQ, that's taking over the sort of more precise EQing of a sound, the detailed EQing that would take me a long time. And it removes the clashing frequencies across instruments as well in seconds. And that's just something I don't want to, if it sounds good to me and it's doing exactly what I would do, right, and I can control what it's done in a really practical way, then that's exactly what I want. So that one, like I use. But the question is that what we need to be thinking about is with artificial intelligence is what will be left, okay? Because whatever's left is what we need to focus our skills on. So for me, I was a bit unsure whether to go back to guitar playing or not, so I kind of dipped in a little bit, and then I think Thomas gave me a right big shove. And then I just happened to be, this is fun, I like guitar playing again, through various situations. And then, then it's just been apparent to me that actually having a guitar connects me emotionally to what I'm doing much better. I'm not that bothered about being super trendy anymore. But guitar's cool. so it doesn't matter. I'm done with sort of the electronic dance world, and I want to move back into sort of rock shred. So all these things added up, but what it means is AI can't do what I want it to do. I don't want it to play the guitar for me, and I don't think anybody else who comes on my channel or watches me and Thomas want me and Thomas to stop playing guitar and allow a robot to do it. Okay, but what we do want is, interesting bits of music where AI has done a bit of the mixing, done the mastering, because they aren't like massively creative processes. And with EQing, it could be creative. There could be filters and things, and you can still make those decisions. As long as you're making the emotional decisions on your music, then that's fine. Then AI can do all of the other things. So what I'm saying is, I suppose if your music is anything that's a bit crafty, which is or like designy, then AI can do that. So all this means is we've just got to now focus all of our skills on being ourselves. And that's the most important thing. Developing what we want inside of us, in our subconscious, and getting that out into the real world. And that's where AI won't be able to do, because I can't guess what I'm thinking, So I'll always be ahead of it. But if I start trying to go in a competition with Sonable EQ4 and who can spectrally EQ quicker and better, it's going to win. So why even bother with that skill? I mean, I just don't need it. Just, you can just get that EQ. You can get buy it on offer for €89. And that's your EQ problem sorted. It's an amazing, honestly, it's an amazing bit of technology. I think it's saved me so much time, got me out of so many situations. Brilliant. Singing and guitar playing his own, well, it's not a hope. Enzo, what's hope? Hope's just this thing, isn't it? It's ooh, it might. If you hope hard enough, will it happen? Aspire is a much better word. If we aspire for something, we're going to actively move forward. We're going to do things, and we're going to get there. So, if because you're singing and you're playing guitar, that's a great situation to be in. Two amazing instruments, and two instruments that only you can do. There can only be one Enzo, and there'll be your way of playing guitar, and there'll be your way of singing. You'll pick the subject, and standing out. You're partly kidding. No, that's all right. I just got to as soon as I see the word hope, I'll start attacking it. Because it's not I can't, hope doesn't, it's not a list of jobs to do. There's no action plan. We're just I just want something down on a bit of paper from the dreamer, send the creator in, he's going to do this, and then connect it to the outside world, and that's how I have to be thinking. I don't have to worry about hope. Hope's just this, it's like something you haven't got control over, is it? I'm not telling you off, Enzo, by the way. I'm just talking about, the hope thing. But we aspire to do things. In fact, that's my coaching, what do you call it? What I have that's in my music is this authentic core experience. That's what I call it. And what's in the music, in everything I do, in sort of teaching and coaching, it's all about the one-liner is that I do, my mission statement, okay, is moving people, all right, from a state of isolation to aspiration. And it's weird. It's in everything I do. When I go off today, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a therapeutic musician, and I work for basically the hospital for health. And that's sort of like the day job, and one of them anyway, as well as the coaching. And it's a therapeutic music. It's basically a music coach. And what you're doing there is you're moving people who aren't well in isolation, and you're moving them with music to a state of aspiration to actually, you know what, I can get well, I can do these things, I can reconnect, and move from hospital back out into the community, into the world. And you can do that with the power of music. It's absolutely awesome. It's an amazing thing to say. and I'm very pleased that music is sort of there doing that. But yes, so, and then again, the coaching thing, again, very similar. People become, like I was, lost with the music, and you become isolated. You think, I've got all these problems, I don't know how to finish a track. Is it just me? And, you can be, especially if you're a bit of an ego, like, like at the time I was doing dance music and I was stuck, I was like, I had X shredder mentality, like, oh, Tim Hutch didn't go and ask silly questions off of other musicians. I'll work this out myself, and I couldn't. I had to go get coached in the end. So I'd actually done a really good job of isolating myself for a few years and achieving very little when I could have just gone, I need some help here. And just actually found it. So, and it's just part of, lifelong learning. I mean, coming back into the shred game, right? I needed to know how to economy pick. I wanted to like hybrid pick. I wanted to do all these things, right? And a bit of me was like, I'm going to work it out. And I just thought, you know what? That's the old Tim Hutch going on there, right? Sod that. I'm not doing that, right? I'm just going to spend some money and get somebody who's going to show me how to do it. And then at least I'll know the right or the wrong way to do the thing, right? Okay. So what did I do? I got Rick Graham. I went to have lessons off Rick Graham. I've had a few lessons off him. Absolutely wonderful. Any daft ideas that I want to do on guitar and I'm unsure. And I think, well, you know what? I could invest, because there is no certainty, but you are going to invest time. But before I invest shitloads of time in my own kind of crazy technical world, because it's a technique, isn't it? So it's very designy. So before I just start this off, why don't I just see, because he's good at doing everything. So I'll just ask him. And I just get him on, we meet up on Zoom, and I go, right, Rick, I just want to be able to do this thing, and then you'll show me how to do it, and then off I go. I get the information I need, ask lots of questions, and then I know what I'm working on, and then I'm quite happy to invest that time with uncertainty and enjoy the journey. Yeah, he's a monster player. So it's been great. He's really good, isn't he, Chili? Anyway, morning, Chili. I did see you before, but I've been locked into sort of talking about stuff because we're talking about being a creator in terms of the three-role theory that I was talking about, being a dreamer, creator, and a connector, and how they all work with each other. Zero finger lift, yeah. I was working on that actually. My finger lifting last night. I'll have to check it out. It's always the muscle linkage here on this third finger is horrible, isn't it? So hammers from nowhere with that finger. It's a constant battle, but it's getting much better. But yeah, so what I was talking about before, and that actually, Enzo, I didn't get to. Well, I'll go back through the comments, and I think the next stream I'm doing, which will be Sunday, but probably Monday for this, I'll approach that the social media thing. So it's a really important thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a bit more of a think about it because I don't want to miss anything. Avoiding flat fingers, yeah. Avoid finger flailing, yes. Flailing. I thought it was flat fingers. Finger flailing. Yes, that's the idea. It's just like a finger that's just not doing what it's supposed to be doing and pulling in line. In other words, what I'm practicing is what you call finger planting. So it's having everything prepared to play what possibly could be the next note. That's what it is. I absolutely love planting everything I do. Pick planting, I do finger planting. It's just, That's all right. If you're out of town and you can't make it, Enzo, just for you. If you're there Tuesday, will you be able to catch Tuesday morning? Or Thursday morning next week? And I can do that. Let me know which morning you're free. The finger salute, yeah. So there's like a little game when we're doing this whole thing about the creator and being able to see our creator, our craft through a lens of discovery. So I just pulled up, there was some questions that sometimes I'll use when I'm coaching people. And it's a game that I'd done a while ago when I was getting coached, and I thought it was really, really good. And it's basically, like, I'll give somebody a sentence that's design orientated, and then you've got to turn it into a discovery. And actually just this one exercise flipped my whole way that I view music. So for example, I will say, this is a design statement. How do I get the ideal situation to make the best music? So can anybody change that into a discovery statement? How do I get the ideal situation to make the best music? Have a think about it. My wife gives me that finger salute quite a bit. That's priceless. That's good. It's it's attention, isn't it? Yeah, I get that quite a lot. And that, at least there's some feedback for me. I'll go, all right, like things are going well. So yes, the design statement. How do I get the ideal situation to make the best music? So the problem with that, right, is how do I get? It's the word I. So how do I get the best situation? That can lead you down to, right, basically I haven't made any music yet, but what I need to do is I need to completely rip the room up, build a suspended room within a room, get it completely like sound conditioned, get the best possible monitors in that I can so I can hear everything, get the Slate headphones, get 10 Kiesel guitars, right, not sure how to play, but it doesn't matter, but I'll get one with 6 strings, one with 7 strings, one with 8 strings, because you never know what might happen. I'm going to get every plug-in in my door and all this kind of stuff, right? And technically, you're designing into this situation that's based on absolutely no practical data. So letting go, yes. So the way this would work, the way you would change the statement from how do I get the ideal situation to make the best music would be how can I use my situation now to make the best music? Very important, because if you're sitting with any DAW, Studio One, Pro Tools, Ableton Live, for electronic music, you've already got everything that you need, including the mastering, if you're savvy about it, to actually go off and make music. So the discovery statement would be how can I use my situation now to make the best music? So how can I? So how to do the how bit is you've just got to make some music with the intention of making the best possible music you can make now. So you have something that lives outside of your body and you can go, you know what, the bass sounds crap. Maybe I do need to get a better bass, or how can I make it better? That's how you're going to make, through doing something and then discovering what it is that you've done. That's how you're going to make the best music. And the more sessions you do and the more times that you turn up to do your music, the more data you'll collect, and therefore the more problems you'll have, and you will create knowledge for yourself. And that is the best way to learn. And then occasionally you might have a problem, you think, I can solve that with some theory. That theory I was learning that I never had a chance to apply, I can apply it to this, and that can give you a shorter route to a solution. So I think that's probably where I'm going to end with my creator discussion today. It's failed all over the place, but I don't plan these things. I've just planned to hit the mic and have at least a sentence to talk about and then see where it leads. So that's been really, really good. Now, the next one that I'm going to do, and it could be, I think Sunday, I'm going to want to play guitar, right? Monday, in fact, Sunday, this is what will happen is, because I always say this and it doesn't happen, I've just got to get back to Thomas. I think I'm going to be live with Thomas on Saturday. So I think on Sunday, I might do a review of my performance from the Saturday. So I can just go through the things that I thought went, I'll do a free write, maybe live, wins, problems, opportunities for everybody, and we can go through it. And then see, and you can see how by putting myself under pressure, doing a live situation, and, wanting to create problems, wanting the problems so I can create new knowledge for myself. We can see that on Sunday. So Sunday we'll be playing and wins, problems, opportunities. And if you catch that, I will be looking at what went not very well. And then I'll be designing exercises for micro practicing on guitar that I can use through the week to overcome whatever it was that went wrong on the Saturday. So that's what we'll be doing there. Monday, I'll be talking about connection. Yeah, Hutch, I don't want peace. I want problems, of course. Okay. So the thing with you can't have peaceful problems, Chili, right? But because we're always going to have problems. But we can have really crap. This is what it is. I'm in process of exchanging really crap, shitty, horrible problems, right? Okay, for much better problems. So, having no money and being absolutely skinned is a problem, but then also having £3 million or dollars is also would create other problems that you would have to solve. So, in our music process, I'm always in the process of exchanging, horrible problems to get much better problems. That was it, when I was an outside picker, I solved a problem, I could play fast, but I would majority lean towards outside picking, right? When I became aware of Troy Grady, he gave me a potential solution to inside picking. So once I kind of got that on the go, then I had different problems to face. Like whatever the shortfall between inside and outside picking was, I needed a way to be able to overcome other problems. So like odd note groupings, right, on strings. What did I do? The solution to the problem was to learn to economy pick. So that's the exchange of rubbish problems musically in a plain sense. Yeah. No learning from mistakes. But again, mistakes, I've got to keep saying it, a mistake is a hidden intention. So we like mistakes. Mistakes are really, really good. You can, when you're doing your splurging, you can do a big dump on it of a mistake, and as long as you know what that was meant to be, like some amazing sweet picking thing which you can't quite do yet that would fit perfectly, then that would be that mistake is perfectly fine, and then you can spend some time practicing, working out how you'd overcome that problem, and you're going to learn. And that's like, honestly, I can see it clearly. That's what happens. That's how people develop and create a new style, and it's all coming from dreaming, the subconscious, conscious thinking, having something that exists outside the body, collecting the data, and then going back through that process again and again and again, and you evolve. And there we go. So Sunday will be wins, problems, opportunities. Don't miss that, because that'll be a really important thing. And then Monday we're going to be talking about the critic connector, or I like the connector much better. Okay, we'll not worry about the critic. The connector. Excellent. Thank you for coming along, everybody. And yes, it's been great. And if I didn't say good morning to you, good morning to everybody here. And no, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. And it is a broadcast. So there we go. All right then. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you hopefully Saturday. All right then. Bye.